You can actually use the sap wire of the mouth, the bigger the pick. So if you just saw that quick little demo, that was a demonstration of a swing spear trap. Swing spear trap is what I call it. Now, a lot like the one you would see in Rambo. Yeah. The only difference is I didn't put the spikes on it for safety purposes and time purposes. But the simplicity of this trap, well, okay, I'm not going to say simplicity. The concept is pretty dang smart. It took me a while watching a few diagrams to figure it out for my first time. But it's very, very simple. It's a tripwire activated trap. Ideally, you use a much thicker and stronger stick, or swing stick, so that way, not only do you get more momentum, but you get more, slamming power. But anyway, all it is, there's a few different parts. Here's the entire trigger system right here. The swing stick, instead of lashing it to a tree, I just jammed it into a crook of a tree so I could save my cord. And then you got the tripwire. At the end of the tripwire, you just have a very small loop. And you can tie the tripwire to a tree, or you can stick a stick in the ground, or whatever you choose. Okay. Now, what happens is, I'm going to try and set the camera up so you can see how I set it. Okay? Alright. Okay, I got you really zoomed in so you can see. Alright. You're going to take this, your actual shaft, you're going to put it in that little knock right there. You're going to have this one tied to the stick on the bottom. Then you're going to have this one, which is a little free floating loose. Okay. You're going to take your tripwire, that little loop I showed you, and then you're going to put a mitt over it. This is solely off of friction right here. Okay, now it's set. And how it works is because this is almost a hair trigger now. Alright, I took all the spikes. There's no spikes on this for the reason that I'm just showing y'all how this works. When something hits the tripwire, the spring of the stick pushes it off, and then this flies out, and the stick goes whee. And you'd use a longer stick, a thicker stick. You want something that's very springy, and you can lash it to the tree if you want. But the parts consist of one stick. Now you can either cut this and stick it in the ground, or you can use a tree that's already sitting. You got this, which is just a regular stick. I harvested all this is off of one little tree. And one end, you're going to carve a notch. On the other, you're just going to sharpen it. Not completely sharpen it, but just sharpen it a little bit. And then this one, you tie to the stick or sapling or whatever as tight as you can. So you don't want this moving around too much. Then you got your spring stick, and of course your tripwire. It helps if you have the tripwire kind of loose, so that way leaves and stuff like that falling on it won't set it off. Alright. And then of course you're going to need a bunch of string. And you would lash all your spikes onto the spring stick, so that way when it swings it impales whatever animal you're using. And this is a pretty versatile trigger for any kind of spear trap. You can use one that's horizontal like this, or you can use one that's vertical like this. That's called a pig spear trap. Now, your goal in killing with spear traps are medium to large game. Like if the area you live in has wild boar, this would be a pretty good trap for a wild boar. It could work for deer as well. But keep in mind, just be prepared to do some blood tracking. Okay. And another trick is if you not put notches all down your spring stick, not too deep that it weakens the stick, but just deep enough that it will hold the spikes on better. That could help. And it really would help if you lash it onto the tree as well. That'll help it sling itself out more straight. Okay. And that's pretty much my favorite spear trap. And you could disguise this as behind or around the tree. You could dirty up these little white spots of fresh wood, so that way it doesn't stand out as much. All your same general rules apply to this trap as it would any other trap. Place this on a game trail. You don't particularly need to bait it, but you can bait it. In other words, you could create it, you could set it up inside a funnel, so that way when the animal goes in, it's funneled into it and wham. I'm sure you could get pretty elaborate by combining traps and stuff like that. But, okay, y'all, so the camera cut off and I didn't realize it. Alright, so today I decided against doing a deadfall trap. So instead I'm going to do a derivative of the platform trap that's baited. Okay? It's another one I really like. So I'm gonna head on over there and start working on that. Alright. Hey y'all. So yeah, I brought my waterproof boots today because I think it rained last night, and so instead of crossing the log to cross the creek, I'm just going right through the creek. And I thought I'd show you this old beaver den. Look in there with a light real quick. By the way, it's a Nebo CSI tactical flashlight. Okay. Well, for this trap, what you're going to need is a little stick shaped like this. You could also use the same method for a platform trap, except only you'd make the bottom stick a lot longer, because that's going to be your bait stick. Or you could do it this way, whichever you so prefer. But you would push this in, cold. Alright, where the string at? Right here. Alright. You take your string and just like last time, lash it to a sapling. You would lash it to a small stick of some sort, don't matter. There we go. Okay, so I had to play with it for a second. I had to push this back a little bit because this was wanting to slide up in this nook and lock. Alright, take your top stick, go and put it in. Take your bottom one, slide it out a little bit. Alright, then you take your noose and you put it under where the animal would be standing. See what I mean? Right here. Then you could adjust the sensitivity of the trigger. I'm essentially making a hair trigger here. Okay, that should be pretty sensitive. And then when the animal tries to take the bait, wham, and snatch right up. Now, when you're putting bait on a bait stick, you want to really rub it into that wood, put knocks in the wood and stuff like that, to really rub it in. You want dang near embedded in the wood. You want them to try and fight for that bait. Because, you know, like a squirrel or a rat or something like that could just come up there and they'll just nibble it right on off and never set off the trigger. It's happened many times to many people. That's why you have to vigorously push it into that wood. You gotta make them fight for it. Okay? Boom. Again, call. Not going to escape that. Okay? I'll give you a close-up of it set. There you go, y'all. There's the loop. Got your sapling. Hooked under. Pushing against that stick. And locked in place by that one. Now, I don't know if I told you or not, but you don't want your loop going under there, like this string is. You want your loop sticking out from under here, so that way your animal doesn't get caught right there and give him a chance to escape. And your loop is going to be right under your bait stick. And the cool thing is you can set the sensitivity of these triggers. So your animal's going to And he's captured. I'll get on the deadfall at some point. Truth be told, I started to do it, but I stopped because one, I couldn't find anything heavy enough to really do it with, and second, because when I tried to make a platform out of wood to make it something heavy, the balance was off and it just wouldn't hold up. So I'll get on that at some point when I'm not expecting it to rain anytime. So hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see y'all in the next one. Alright? Alright.